She was once called the most beautiful woman in the world and the first true queen of British cinema. But behind the glamour, Madeleine Carroll lived a life filled with passion, pain, and purpose. From Alfred Hitchcock thrillers to wartime heroism, this is the fascinating story of Madeleine Carroll. If you're enjoying stories of classic Hollywood legends, don't forget to subscribe to Sajjad Classics for more.
He's in a picture with Madeleine Carroll, making love to the screen's most gorgeous blonde. He wishes.
You know, honey, me and you can make music together, and right now I feel like the Philharmonic. Let's get lost here.
Madeleine Carroll was born on February 26, 1906, in West Bromwich, Staffordshire, England. Her full name was Edith Madeleine Carroll. She came from a modest background. Her father was a French language professor, and her mother was Irish. Madeleine was a brilliant student and initially had no intention of becoming an actress. From an early age, she proved to be an exceptionally bright student, excelling in academics. She enrolled at the University of Birmingham, pursuing her father's dream for her to become a teacher of French. Reserved and shy by nature, Madeleine had no ambitions of stardom. "Everything indicated that I would spend the rest of my days teaching," she later recalled. "I was shy, nervous, all through college." But fate had a different plan. In her senior year, she joined a college drama society. In March 1926, she landed the leading role in the annual play Selma, a performance that changed her life. As she stepped into character on stage, something clicked. "Somehow I did it as if I had been acting all my life," she said. "I understood then how people get a call." That night, someone else saw her potential too. Sir Barry Jackson, the legendary director of the Birmingham Repertory Theatre, offered her a contract after seeing her performance. But Madeleine declined, at her father's insistence. He strongly disapproved of any theatrical ambitions. Despite completing her BA with honours in French and briefly heading to Paris for graduate study, Madeleine couldn't ignore the spark she felt on stage. She soon returned, determined to pursue a career in acting. Her decision caused a family rift, and her father, deeply disappointed, asked her to leave their home. They would only reconcile years later, after her first film success. To survive, she took a job as a French instructor at a girls' school in Hove. But the routine was stifling, and after just 3 months she quit and returned to Birmingham to tutor privately while chasing acting opportunities. In early 1927, after saving enough to move to London, she tirelessly pounded the pavement, auditioning for anything she could find. That persistence paid off. She finally landed a small part in The Lash, a touring play by Cyril Campion. It premiered in New Brighton in February 1927, but after a short run, she was back to square one. Her next break came when Sir Seymour Hicks signed her to a 5-year contract with his touring company. Though the association didn't last long, Hicks's mentorship gave her crucial training in stagecraft. Under his guidance, she started developing the poise and technique that would define her screen career. Then came 1928 and her cinematic debut. Madeleine was released from her contract with Hicks to appear in a London play. During rehearsals, she was screen tested and eventually cast as the female lead in The Guns of Lewes, a silent war drama that debuted in Brighton in 1928. It was her very first film, and the beginning of an extraordinary journey from the classroom to the silver screen. Though a minor role, it was the beginning of a career that would soon skyrocket. By the early 1930s, she had become a fixture in British cinema, appearing in films like Young Woodley, 1930, Sleeping Car, 1933, and I Was a Spy, 1933, where her quiet strength and beauty won critical praise. Critics quickly noticed her poised screen presence, natural elegance, and a cool intensity that set her apart from her peers.
I'm not afraid of...
For all you know, I may murder a woman a week.
So listen to a bit of advice. From now on, do every single thing I tell you to do, and do it quick.
You big bully.
I like you, Clark. Come on.
Her career reached new heights when she starred in Alfred Hitchcock's 1935 thriller The 39 Steps opposite Robert Donat. The film was a massive success and is still considered one of Hitchcock's early masterpieces. Carroll played Pamela, a cool, intelligent woman who gets reluctantly caught up in a dangerous spy mission after being handcuffed to the wrongly accused Richard Hannay, played by Robert Donat. This is Madeleine Carroll's most celebrated performance. Critics praised her chemistry with Donat and her ability to handle Hitchcock's signature blend of suspense and humour. She delivered sharp dialogue with poise and balance, transforming a classic damsel in distress role into something far more independent and strong-willed. The New York Times called her elegant and restrained, bringing credibility to the film's implausible twists. Film historian David Thompson noted that Carroll defined what Hitchcock would later perfect with Grace Kelly, the icy blonde with inner fire. British Film Institute ranked The 39 Steps among the top British films of all time, with Carroll's performance specifically cited for combining vulnerability and steel.
Help me to do what I was born to do. Help me to do what I must.
But, my dear, how can I? I love you.
But is love the only thing? If love were all, I could follow you in rags to the ends of the world.
The Prisoner of Zenda, 1937. In this swashbuckling romantic adventure, Carroll played the conflicted Princess Flavia, who falls in love with a man impersonating the king. The role required both emotional depth and regal restraint. Critics admired her aristocratic bearing and ability to convey inner turmoil. Her chemistry with Ronald Colman gave the film its emotional centre. Though overshadowed somewhat by the male lead's bravado, Carroll held her ground with a graceful, heartfelt performance. Variety wrote, "Carroll radiates intelligence and warmth. Her Princess Flavia is more than just a love interest. She's the film's emotional conscience." The general died at dawn, 1936. Set in war-torn China, Carroll's character becomes entangled in an arms smuggling plot while trying to escape her past. It was a political thriller with romance and action. Carroll's performance was well received for its intensity and sincerity. While the film focused more on Gary Cooper, critics acknowledged that Carroll brought a unique moral complexity to her role, portraying a woman torn between self-interest and a desire to do good. The Los Angeles Times praised her emotive subtlety and screen presence. My Favorite Blonde, 1942. Role, Karen Bentley, co-star, Bob Hope. A fast-paced comedy thriller, Carroll played a British secret agent trying to smuggle microfilm out of the US while being pursued by enemy spies. She enlists the help of a clueless vaudeville comedian, Bob Hope. Critics were impressed by Carroll's comedic timing, especially given her more serious background. Her cool, composed British spy paired hilariously with Hope's slapstick antics, creating a surprisingly effective duo. The Hollywood Reporter wrote, "Carroll shows unexpected flair for comedy without losing her charm or sophistication."
In France.
But is it a crime to be English?
Oui, mademoiselle. And Bonaparte is right. He must protect himself from spies.
But I'm not a spy. Tell him so. Tell him that I'm only here for the night, that I'm taking the boat tomorrow for England.
Lloyds of London, 1936. Role, Lady Elizabeth Stacey. Co-star, Tyrone Power. This historical drama revolved around the rise of the Lloyds Insurance Company during the Napoleonic Wars. Carroll played the love interest torn between loyalty to her country and her heart. While Tyrone Power stole the spotlight in his breakout role, Carroll was lauded for her elegance and emotional restraint. She brought a refined presence that elevated the romantic subplot. Motion Picture Daily stated, "Carroll lends gravitas to a potentially melodramatic..." Despite her fame, Madeleine Carroll had a tragic side to her life. She was deeply affected by the death of her younger sister Marguerite, who was killed during a German air raid in London during World War II. This loss changed her outlook completely. She walked away from a lucrative film career to serve the war effort. Madeleine Carroll became one of the first major stars to volunteer for wartime work. She joined the Red Cross, worked in field hospitals, and even entertained troops at the front lines. She also adopted several war orphans and used her own wealth to fund relief efforts. For her service, she was awarded the French Legion of Honor, the US Medal of Freedom, the Italian Red Cross Medal. Her bravery and sacrifice earned her widespread admiration. She later said, "I couldn't go on playing heroines on screen while women like my sister were dying." Madeleine Carroll was the first British actress to earn a major Hollywood contract. During her time at Paramount, she demanded intelligent roles and avoided being typecast as just a pretty face. She was fluent in French and Spanish, which helped in her wartime relief efforts across Europe. Madeleine Carroll was never a tabloid fixture, but her personal life did generate some gossip. She was married 3 times. Captain Philip Astley, a military officer, the marriage was short-lived. Sterling Hayden, the American actor, in 1942, they divorced in 1946. This was her most public marriage, and Hayden later wrote about their differences in his autobiography. Her 3rd marriage, to a French nobleman, ended in divorce as well. Though not scandal-ridden, her personal life was often seen as tragic, marked by loss, loneliness, and sacrifice. After the war, Carroll tried to return to acting, but her momentum had waned. She appeared in a few films, including White Cradle Inn, 1947, and The Fan, 1949, but the roles were fewer, and Hollywood had moved on to a new generation of stars. She eventually retired from acting in the early 1950s and lived a more private life. She remained active in humanitarian work and spent much of her time between Europe and America. Following her direct experiences of the devastation in Europe during the War on Children, Madeleine had proposed a resolution to the US Committee of the UNICEF that there be constituted an international children. The early years of retirement were spent in Paris. Her father had died in Farnborough, UK, in 1953, and was buried with Guigette in England. She first lived with her mother and her daughter in a beautiful apartment in the 8th arrondissement of Paris, and later they moved to San Pedro in southern Spain, where they lived in a large villa overlooking the Mediterranean, with apartments built specially for her mother and daughter. Her mother died in January 1975 and was buried in Fuengirola. Madeleine Carroll died of pancreatic cancer on October 2, 1987, in Marbella, Spain, at the age of 81. She was buried in a cemetery in Sant Antoni de Calonge, Catalonia. Madeleine Carroll was more than just a screen goddess. She was a hero, a humanitarian, and a pioneer. She proved that talent, beauty, and compassion could coexist. Her legacy continues to inspire those who believe that fame is best used in the service of others. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Sajjad Classic for more untold stories from Hollywood's golden age. See you in the next one.